we're here with the other JJ.
Yep.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the peeps.
I am Jose Galindo from Borinquen Sumo out of Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
That side. I'm the more Mexican side of Borinquen Sumo. So. I love living in Puerto Rico, but I'll never claim I'm Puerto Rican.
Fair enough.
Resident of Puerto Rico and loving it, but proud Mexican.
Hell yeah.
Or Mexican-American.
Where are you from originally?
SoCal, so Los Angeles.
Nice. What part?
Yeah. I grew up in Norwalk before I moved to Utah. So it was about 12 years there and then 15 in Utah. And I'm like, I need to go back to Cali. That's when we came back, and that's where I found Sumo.
Okay. So you have a special spot in my heart because you are also a married person doing Sumo with your wife. Yep. There's not a lot of us. I think legit, there's two. I think it's just us.
Yeah.
I think it's just us. Everybody else, either their significant other doesn't participate or one way or another, but we're it.
Yeah, and I think if the other ones who've tried, they do like one tournament and they're done. And ours is just like consistently competing at a high level. And it's funny because sometimes I feel more nervous when she's going than I am. And it's such a weird feeling that I'm like, why am I so nervous for her? But then I know why.
And I think their first tournament ever was the same one, right?
Yes,
the 2020.
The 2020 Open.
Yeah.
Yep, they were both really nervous and they found each other.
Yeah. I tricked Christina into doing that. I was like, hey, let's buy a new Mawashi and you can support the ladies. They need more competitors. Yeah. They had enough for the medals, but I was just trying to sneak it. And she met your lady, and she loves her. Yeah,
and Jolly was the same thing. She was like, I'm going to try it, I'm going to do it. And then that day up, she's like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. I'm like, everything's signed, everything paid, your name's already there, they're going to announce you, you have to go.
Oof.
And so I remember she was so nervous, but her and Christina kind of found each other like, hey, I'm new too, you want to help me? I'm like, I'm so glad. Because I know she was super nervous, and Christina helped her so much that day.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
So your first Sumo tournament was the same tournament that I was supposed to do. I tore my knee, and I had to get knee surgery, and I was still like thinking, I'm going to be out there. And I remember sitting in the crowd because, I had a free ticket since I was on the flyer. Yeah. So I was sitting out there with Christina, and we're looking, and we see you with like the suction cups on your back, and your energy was just like dynamic. You were like very like, let's go. Yeah. You beat Hiroki, and that was crazy. I've never seen that crowd turn like just like they were there for you. Like they were there originally for whoever, and then they picked their person, right? What got you to doing a Sumo tournament?
So it's always funny. I hate to say I did it as a joke, but it was. Because I told John, I'm like, when I'm old and crazy, I want to be able to say I was a sumo wrestler. Because I had a chiropractor who was showing me about sumo wrestling at my job. I'm a massage therapist by day, right? Sumo wrestler by night. And and he was showing me, because we were talking football, and he's like, well, dude, we have these giant athletes in Japan. They're called sumo wrestlers. And I told him, I didn't think that was a real thing, man. And he showed me, explained more to me. I'm like, you know what? This is something I feel like I can do because it's my favorite aspect of football, which is one-on-one. Nobody else is going to help you. You beat the guy in front of you. That's it. So I looked up USA Sumo, found the US Open, and reached out. And Andrew reached out to me. He's like, hey, well, we have a practice next week if you want to come. But I'm like, well, I want to do the tournament, so let me sign up first.
Yeah, crazy.
So, and so I went to one practice, and that's where I met Danny. Absolutely love him, and he's probably one of the reasons I stayed with it a little bit. And I went to the tournament, and it was just the weirdest thing. I'm like, hey, all right, let's try it. I did it, and so it was really kind of the reason I started was wanted to tell my grandkids I was a sumo wrestler.
That's beautiful.
I ended up staying as a sumo wrestler and kept going because I did pretty good that day and took silver. So,
okay, so that's crazy, right? And recently you've moved to Puerto Rico, right? So with all of that, right, there's so many reasons to get out, right? To stop doing sumo, right? What keeps you doing sumo? And also making a club?
Yes. So we started with Borinquen Sumo out there, and we're starting our own federation as well. So it's going to be under the Puerto Rican Sumo Federation. And I really fell in love with sumo. The community is probably the most beautiful thing, that we'll slap each other and then say, hey, let's go get something to eat after. Yeah. And there's no hard feelings. Everyone's just, hey, we all love the sport. We love to participate in it. So I'm like, I want to take that to Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico has a very great community that everyone's friendly. Everyone says hi to each other, and you have, obviously, with all communities, your good and bad parts.
Of course.
So I'm all like, okay, I mean, sumo, I've been great, and I've learned from Yama, and I'm like, I've learned a lot of discipline from Yama, because sumo's taught me a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if it's something I can help somebody in Puerto Rico who maybe doesn't know, hey, this is a sport I need, or a sport that I'm even interested in, because it's not as wide range as other sports. Like basketball is big out there,
right?
Baseball, boxing. So not a lot of martial arts grow very big out there. So I'm like, sumo, why not? There's a big people community out there. A lot of big uns walking around, mm-hmm. And I'm like, I can possibly get them started into something and maybe get their life going on the right track, fitness-wise.
Right.
Because a lot of people get intimidated when we see a gym, right? And we see people walking around like bodybuilders or anybody in great shape. We're like, oh, man, I don't want to be standing next to him. Make me look bad. But the sumo community is really great on welcoming everybody. All body types, small, medium, big. When I say, come on in, we're going to hit each other, we're going to go eat. So.
Who is your favorite amateur sumo wrestler?
Oof. Besides Kellyanne Ball for women, I know my wife's gonna be pissed. But Danny Avila.
Nice.
I love his tachi. I always say he's the one guy that if I have to avoid his tachi, I'm going to, because
it'll change you. It'll change you.
It's just so fast, and he's just so aggressive, but yet he's so smart with his wrestling. So I have to say probably Danny.
One time I went with Danny. This was back in 2018, maybe 2019, right when he was still in his heavyweight phase, and I crashed into him, and I'm I think he let me win one. He beat me up about 15 times, so I got 1 out of 15. I remember that a lot because I was driving home, and as I'm driving home, I see a motorcycle accident and a guy fell down, and usually I'm that guy that will help. I couldn't. I blew my back out with Danny. It was done. It was like, I was over. I get home, and I call my wife, and we're living in Barrio Logan. I can't even park the car. And I go, hey, can you come out and move the car? And I hobble out and then lay down in the living room on a futon for 3 days. And then I'm able to I was able to resurrect again. I was back. Yeah. But I was out. He jacked me up really good. But that's just I was trying to fight force with force, which at the time I was 172 pounds. So not
Danny was
smart.
Pushing over 320, 330.
Yeah. And with that big ram on his chest, just ready to go.
So I remember my first practice before the Open. Me and Danny put a hole in the dohyo, in the wall.
In the wall?
Yeah, because we were kind of getting a feel for each other. Yeah. I'm coming in thinking football, so I have my football stance. We're going all out, and it was really, I think Danny said one of the first times he had another heavyweight to go with consistently. So we're getting to the edge of the ring, and I'm doing kind of what new people do all the time, get to the ring and try to throw. And so I did it, and he reversed it on me and threw me, and I ended up putting, I think, my hand through the wall, trying to catch there. And so they fixed that, but then after that, they had mats all along.
Yeah. So this was at the judo spot, right? Yeah. That is where the crash pad started going. I didn't know it was because of you.
It was
that
because
makes
of
sense.
us, yeah.
Who is your favorite professional?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Also, we're just gonna ignore the fact that you didn't say your wife, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, my wife knows I love her. And she knows I love her. I don't have to say it, and she says I do, but I'm fine. My favorite pro wrestler, I like Hokuoho right now. But I have to say I love Hoshori's fighting style.
Okay.
He's kind of all over the place as well.
He also seems really mad.
Yeah.
He seems like he's not a nice guy outside, which I kind of like, he seems like he's trying to be like his uncle, but he's not his uncle, but he's fuck you.
I'm that uncle presence is over him all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm that's got to be tough, and the expectation for him is super high, right?
Yes.
So I think he has some odds stacked against him, but I like the way he's wrestling. Before he started his decline, Shodai was my guy.
I know. Shodai was your dude.
Yeah, Shodai was my guy, and I'm still with him, and I'm when he decides to fight with that effort and fire, it's there. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I think he's on his way out. Kind of wouldn't surprise me with retirement soon and everything. But Shodai too, because that's what Yama started calling me when I was practicing.
I know that's what yeah.
Yeah, that was his name. Him and Andrew were like Shodai.
Shodai.
And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll take it as a compliment. He's Ozeki, so yeah.
Where do you see sumo in the near future? Give it like 10 years. That's near future enough for me.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're able to, in those 10 years, to get it on track for the Olympics.
Yes.
That would be amazing to see, and that's what I want to work towards, help sumo get to. At least kind of bigger tournaments being a normal thing around the States.
Right.
So to where we could have it like, hey, in this month we have a New York tournament, or Miami, or LA, or whatever it may be, whatever club decides to hold it. But it kind of turned into a smaller version of the pro circuit.
Right.
So where we have big tournaments going on all the time. It's going to be a long road to get there, right? Hopefully 10 years, but probably thinking a little bit longer, just because the U.S. Sumo Open took, 20 years to get to what it's at?
Right.
So, but end game, I'm hoping the Olympics. Because even if I'm 40 or 45, I'm still going to try to get in there.
Hell yeah.
So,
last but not least, I just have something that I'm going to uplift, because you're planning to do a Puerto Rican sumo camp, right? So a training camp. We're thinking like multiple days, educational, hiking, beaches, all in Puerto Rico, like 4 or 5 days, something along those lines. Nothing set in stone, but Kanishiki told me that's what he wants to see more of. He was like, we do a great amount of tournaments, right? Of course, they can be bigger, right? But we need more training camps. And just the fact that you want to do a training camp is freaking phenomenal. Yeah. So I thank you. That's awesome.
How am I going to sell sumo to the masses? This one, see, you're testing me here. So, sumo wrestling is one of the other reasons I really love it is honor above all. You show your opponent respect in victory or defeat, and I feel like our society needs a little bit more of that, a little bit more humbleness, a little bit more respect for not just our opponents, but our friends, our family. So I feel like sumo is a great way for people to not only get active, but kind of learn to show a little bit of respect and show a little bit of humbleness in a society that kind of exemplifies showboating and what's the word I'm looking for? Showboating. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. It's just we celebrate those who kind of put down those who they've defeated or those that they have said stuff about. I guess I don't know, man.
That's perfect. That's good. Hell yeah, man.